Do you know why chainsaws were invented? Mm. the, the answer is actually crazier than the question. Welcome to yet another crazy episode of Crazy Questions. I'm your host, Soulful, and today's question, it resonates with me quite a bit just because, yeah, the strength of a woman is by far magical, but it's also baffling. So, our crazy question today is being called strong a superpower, or is it a terrible attribute for growth? Hmm. Sometimes I think it's a terrible attribute for growth, but bear with me here. I've had C sections. My first child, difficulty, 2 days almost in labor. And I know if I was back in the 18th century, they would have had to cut her out with a chainsaw. And that is by far the craziest thing I've ever heard. That's why a chainsaw was invented, you guys, to cut women's pelvic bone when they're having difficulty during birth. Nuts. Absolutely nuts. Think about it though. When someone calls you strong, they're recognizing your ability to endure hardship, your resilience, and the capacity for you to keep moving when life throws you terrible punches. I know I've felt like that. I've felt like a superhero sometimes in my own story. I remember one time a couple of exes, girlfriend, said to me, "Oh my gosh, you're so strong. This is why I left him. I couldn't deal with all the that you're putting up with right now." And I'm just like, are they validating my strength? Or is it somehow a double edged sword? When they called me strong, were they celebrating my resilience, or are they unintentionally telling me that it's okay to suffer in silence? Like, there's this dangerous undertone that comes with the word. The idea that because you're strong, you don't need help, you don't need rest, or worse, you're not allowed to show vulnerability. That part, ooh, you guys. Growth, on the other hand, thrives on balance, and it thrives on learning to let go, asking for help, and admitting when things are too heavy to carry, especially alone. Because who wants to carry life alone? I don't. You shouldn't. Humans aren't meant to do life alone. So if being called strong makes you feel boxed into the role of, oh well, I'm the one who always have to hold it together, then it's no longer a superpower. It somehow becomes invalid, and it becomes a barrier for my growth, for your growth. It becomes a shield that keeps you from acknowledging your softer self, or your feminine self is what they now call it. So is being called strong good or bad? Well, it kind of depends on how you wear the label. And I hate labels, you guys. I would say embrace it as a testament to your resilience, but don't let it stop you from being real, from leaning on each other, because I've seen that with my grandparents. My grandma, you guys, oh my gosh, 13 children. She's my unsung hero. Like, she really is. Can you imagine back in the 50s and the 60s having a husband, some animals, and getting a child every other year or every year for 13 years? Jesus, you guys. I have two, and that's too many. uh, and then I watch my aunts carry on the strength that she was within her community, not just her household. And I'm like, is this what I've become? That strength that everybody admires or laugh at? Because I'm not quite sure sometimes. I look at my life and I'm I'm wondering why. Why do I want to be this type of strong? I don't know. But remember, strength is not just in holding on. And that's why I had to understand. Strength is also in letting go, knowing when to. Because Caribbean women, for sure, embodies this resilience. They love strong, they sacrifice for everybody around them. They're normally the glue that holds generations together, balancing these traditions and the progress of our livelihood. But one thing I learned from my aunts after watching them nurture, take care of their brothers' children. My family, my uncles are probably going to be mad in the moment, but truth is the truth, right? I watched my mom and my aunts take care of their brothers' children. Why do we need to be strong all the time as women? Why do we have to take up the mantle? There's something I wrote on a board that I have at my house for me and my children, my family, to actually go through the day with. And I wrote one time, culture is sometimes what carries captivity to the next generation. My daughter read it the other day and she goes, I see what you're saying there. And this is one of it. This is a part of our lives that I want her strength. I want my son's strength to be balanced. And I think that's all we strive for now in our generation, in our life. Wonder Woman. I wrote a piece, I don't know, however long ago, about Wonder Woman. And I often wonder if if she was to live in the 21st century, how would she survive? You know? That indestructible bracelet and that lasso of truth. And wait, leaping off these buildings. Jesus, what a vibe. I wish I was that woman sometimes. But if you dropped her right now into our 21st century world with a cheating husband, a job that always looks her over, just so that they can give the opportunity to, let's say, a man, or cooking, doing laundry, and hearing your child say 100 times, Mom, what's for dinner? Mom, what's for dinner? Oh my gosh, I know she would go crazy. I think that's how you measure strength. Those simple everyday life. And that's what we all are, as women especially. I don't know. I think Wonder Woman is really all of us. So let's get credit where it's kind of due. My grandmother was definitely a Wonder Woman of her time. But so is my aunt, so is my mom, and so are you guys out there. But why can't we make a community where strength is actually embraced with understanding that, hey, it's okay to ask for help. It really is. And this is actually to my fellow women out there. We created the entire world. The entire world, you guys. Kings, presidents, prime ministers, engineers, lawyers. We created every last one of them. The irony is, while men were out conquering kingdoms or signing declarations or whatever they do in today's, or just bring home some money, us running the household, raising next generations, and oh yeah, giving life, because we give life. Society will always try to put women on the sidelines and even say, oh, strength of a woman. I've heard that song so many times. I watched Shaggy one day and I said, why? He says, because you guys deserve it. But do we? Do we deserve it in words? and not in action because I don't want to be this type of strong. I want a partner. I think all of us wants a partner so we can be strong together. And it's not as hard because it's kind of comical because we're expected to be soft, but we're still expected to take up the mantle as a man. I don't like that shit. I like to be graceful. I want to dress up and just be me. But we're no lesser. We're actually foundational. We're the architects of all of our lives. So next time somebody question your value, just maybe remind them. You as a woman is the reason they're kings. All right? That's it for today, folks. Women aren't just the backbone of history. They're the backbone of humanity. And let's start acting like it. I want to tell you a 10 seconds story while doing my research because this has gone too long already. I was reading about women in history. And there's this woman, Beatrice. And the simple thing of creating pads, feminine pads. She did this in 1920s, 30s, and that woman couldn't get the patent until 1950s. And I know it's because she was a woman. But her strength, her resilience, this is why I'm kind of okay with being called strong sometimes. Because at the end of the day, I'm a living monument. And I'm okay with that. I'm your host, Soulful. Catch you on the next episode next Wednesday. Peace.